Now, when you talk about business, we are looking at, it's the 21st century and technology is slowly becoming an integral part of us, not just the way we live our lives, but also how we do business. Joining us this morning on Entrepreneurship is Waweru Nderitu, the CEO of Notify Logistics. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
When you say tech and business, a majority of Kenyans who have shopped online, the question is, where is your shop located?
Yes.
I shop online, and that is a question that I always ask when I go online shopping. That idea of renting a shelf.
Yes.
What influenced that? Is it the question of where do I get you as a shop? Or what led to that?
Well, there's an interesting story behind it. So we actually had, we started a business, my wife and I a while back. And the challenges of running, a purely online shop for us, they were actually real. So we set out to solve her problem. And that's when we realized, maybe there's a gap for small business. We don't have any solution for you when it comes to commercial retail space. And that's when now the idea of Rent a Shelf came about. So it was more of trying to plug a hole in a business. Plus, anyway, I agree, everyone wants to know where is your shop located. Can I come interact with the product? Now, our online space is still evolving. People still want the comfort to know that they can still reach you somewhere.
Indeed.
So yes, we started solving her problem. We stumbled on another idea.
Another idea.
Yes.
I want to go back to the customer, the client.
Yes.
The 21st century client has still not yes, we are shopping online, but there is also a need to physically get your product, get to see where you're getting it from, a supplier, and also get to fit, especially for ladies, we have to fit.
Yes.
Now this particular gap has been the take up of this particular space when it comes to renting a shop. What has been the uptake? It's
been interesting actually. I agree. At the end of the day, people want to feel the product, and again, we are still evolving, especially this part of the world. We're still getting used to the whole online shopping thing. So, and we've not yet fully embraced online shopping. There's still a lot of doubts. You order something and what you receive, there's a mismatch in
issue of quality assurance.
Yes. So for us, what we're seeing is there's been a significant uptick when it comes to space. People are embracing the idea that yes, when you're buying the whole process of purchasing, people begin consideration online. They see the product online, they're interested, but they want to, to close the deal when they see the actual product. So having a physical shop, gives the business credibility, and that actually increases your sales over time. So yes, our model has actually been working for the last few years. Yes.
Now, looking at this particular model is that we're moving e-commerce and going to traditional market, or rather how we do trade. We are marrying the two. There's a gap there. So who are we targeting, or rather who is your concept targeting?
So for us, we deal mainly with small businesses, the people who cannot afford their own space in town. I can tell you for a fact 90% of our clients would not have a physical location were it not for us to actually fix that particular gap. And it's the same thing when you think about Uber, and Uber fixed a gap. When I was growing up, taxi business was very expensive. Like hiring a taxi used to be expensive. Nowadays, people in universities, they can afford, a taxi because Uber significantly brought the cost low, and all of a sudden introduced a whole new cohort of users for their services. So for us, our clients would not be in town. Our rates are significantly cheaper. It is way more convenient. We've taken care of the overheads. You don't need to worry about a shop attendant, licenses, and whatnot. So what that did is a lot of small businesses realized that all of a sudden it is actually achievable to have a location where you can now send your clients to come and interact with your product. People who are, they employed white-collar jobs, people who are in white-collar jobs, realize that you can actually run your shop with someone you can trust. It is now not that shop attendant who,
basically outsourcing.
Yes.
You are outsourcing.
It becomes easier.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting. We've seen a new cohort of people come into business, and for us, that is what motivates us on a daily basis.
Expansion. What are your future expansions? Because when you're talking about CBD right now. Have you expanded? What are your future plans in as far as expansion is concerned?
The idea is to ramp up our e-commerce capacities. Currently, we are in 4 towns in Nairobi. we're in Nairobi, in Kenya, that is. We're in Nairobi, we're in Mombasa, we're in Nakuru and Eldoret. So the goal for us is to ramp up our e-commerce service delivery so that we can reach a wider audience. But as we do that, we also want to onboard new businesses. We have new programs that are, initially we used to target people who are in business. Now we have programs that are targeting people who want to start a business. And this is more of a training, just to equip and empower you. The gap we feel as a company is we are here to support job creation specifically through entrepreneurship. Yes. And so to enable that to happen, we need to empower the people who want to start businesses. Because a lot of people want to start a business, but they shelve the idea because for one reason or the other. Maybe you didn't have the time, you didn't have places to source products. And so what you're doing is the whole value chain, bringing it together. People who can help you source products from any corner in the world, people who can ship products, people who will help you to market. It's the whole ecosystem. And making sure that at the very tail end of it, we have a robust e-commerce platform so that you're able to reach your customer more effectively. What that does is it reduces the barriers to entry. More businesses will be created, more jobs will be created directly and indirectly. And I think over time, that will spur the economy.
In layman terms, since you're talking about e-commerce, we can say now you're the web host. You are the host.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But now we're talking about business, so you're the intermediary that
yes.
you're offering all the services, from the front desk to the back office and such when it comes to the value process. Mm-hmm. But now the question when it comes to e-commerce and online shopping, one of the issue is quality assurance. Mm-hmm. So since you're the intermediary, this is where the client comes in to pick the product. Mm-hmm. In the event that the product is faulty, especially electronics, what I ordered for is not what I get. Who bears the responsibility? Is it you or is it the person who is running the business? What happens at that point?
Fantastic question. You see, the beauty of a model is it's a hybrid model. There is the online bit, but you also have a physical outlet that you can actually come and interact the product before you buy. And what that does is it reassures the client. If it's an electronic product and you want to see it work before you buy, you don't need to pay for it online. Come to our shops, interact with the product. Is it what you imagined? Is it what you were sold? If it is not, you still have the liberty to still walk away. So our model in that regard really reinforces the fact that we are very credible, and our customers, we try to protect them. And unlike other platforms, we have an actual physical outlet where you can come and see the product before you buy it. So what that does is we give the consumer a bit of confidence. And in the event that we deliver a product that is faulty, please return it to us. We will return it to the vendor. They will bear the cost. So
you vet your vendors and you have an agreement in terms of quality assurance?
Oh, definitely, definitely. We have, we have, there are certain things that you have to adhere to. One is things like KEBS, for example, that if it's a locally manufactured product, it needs to be certified by KEBS. But all these things we do take our vendors through. So if you are a supplier, we'll actually walk you through all the things that the hoops that you need to jump before your products go to our shelves. And the thing is, if something happens, a customer complains and comes back, at least we want to assure them that yes, you have a place where you can actually walk in and complain. And I think that's the beauty of having a hybrid model. Because if it was purely online, all you would have is a number to call and an email to address to send an email complaint to. But we have a place where you can physically walk into and complain.
Now, Waweru, well, the finance bill, when it came into effect, there's the introduction of the digital service tax. What is your take on that, and how has it impacted your business?
Well, that is very interesting. So first and foremost, as a business person, I think the tax regime, I think over time it's something that we would like to be reviewed, because what it does, it increases the cost of doing business. Currently, what we're saying is, especially for businesses who, as we push more services online, the digital services tax makes things all the more expensive. Now you need to pay for, there's a tax element when you're doing everything from your hosting service provider, when you're dealing with, things like even digital advertising. Now there's the component where now you need to add a bit of tax. And yes, I understand that probably, we need to also chip in, but I think the whole tax thing is something that needs to be reviewed, so that, especially for small businesses exist primarily online. When you start a business, it starts purely online, and then as you grow, then you have the capacity to scale up and go to a retail outlet. So the tax regime needs not to punish the person who is starting a business. We need to support them. We need to give them tax breaks. We need to allow them to scale up without with minimum, especially minimum, tax implications, so they're able to bootstrap and grow. Again, the other thing, that is common to this country is when you start a business, ideally you finance it from your pocket or friends and family. That is usually the predominant source of capital. So it is important that this person who starts a business, we support them, and the government should come in and really support them. And what happens is, if you do your business purely online, then the digital service tax, you cannot run away from it, because the providers you're using will actually be the ones to enforce it for you, and all the services, all of a sudden, there is a small bump in cost. But I guess in the long term, I imagine the government anticipates a transfer policy where they tax, but on the other hand they want to make the system more efficient, to make things like registration of a business more efficient, things like when you're claiming a tax refund should be more efficient.
Actually, that's what's coming. I was looking at now from where you sit, and you're a local entrepreneur, and government has really been vocal when saying that it wants to support entrepreneurship. But now, from a local point of view, what would be your comment in the ease of doing business?
I think we have a lot of room to grow in that respect. We do appreciate there are things that nowadays are very easy. When you're
registration of a business.
So those ones,
more or less 48 hours.
Yes, and you do it from the comfort of your house. So that has been streamlined. But I think the ease of doing business goes beyond just registration. It is in everything else. It's making it easy for the entrepreneur to raise capital, for example, making sure that there is available credit lines, making sure that besides the traditional conventional means of going to a bank, I think the Capital Markets Authority need to come up with more products to allow small businesses to actually thrive. And we have seen technologies nowadays, especially in the Western world, where financial technology is evolving. We're allowing businesses to have alternative ways of raising capital. So I think for us, it's empowering small businesses to give them more avenues to raise capital. We need to think of the whole system, to rethink the whole system. Let me give you an example. We have a concept called crowdfunding, which is it's a fantastic idea when you think about it, and it's actually taken root in the Western world. The whole concept is very simple. It's what we call a harambe in Kenya. It's just bringing many people together, but in the Western world they've managed to commercialize it. Where if I'm starting a business, instead of just asking for friends and family for money in form of a grant, there is a system where now I can, instead of them giving me a grant, they become stakeholders in the company. And the whole process is regulated. So there are regulations around it. There are things I can or cannot do with the money that I receive. And at the end of the day, it does two things. It unlocks capital, but to the person who's put in money, they become an investor. So that becomes like an investment strategy for them, so that if it grows, they also benefit.
Actually, I was reading somewhere, and that is even how the Western world is funding their political campaigns.
Yes.
That is what happens. The charity, but we're not talking about politics. We already get towards our general election come 2022. So in a nutshell, from where you sit, to actually realize this dream, and just today we had a story where the Kisumu County is working on an investment forum to bring people together, and their target now has shifted, not 2030, but now we're going to 2050. So time has passed. Going forward, from where you sit within the value chain, youth and business, what do you think really needs to be done in a nutshell? Give me 3 recommendations that would put across.
One, I'd say that we need to streamline how we avail capital to small businesses. Capital is everything. Without capital, businesses will not grow. That's number one. Number 2 is capacity building. That we need to, have a way where young people will be taught the value of entrepreneurship from an early age. So it's not a fallback plan. It should be something that is encouraged, especially of the brightest and smartest people that we have around. But there is a disconnect because in the country, the smartest people will normally go for white-collar jobs, and then entrepreneurship is left for the people who have no other viable alternative. That mentality needs to change. That innovation becomes a part of who we are as a people. The third thing I'd really recommend is the government should really support small businesses in terms of at a policy level. that laws, like, we had the idea that, we tax breaks for small companies. That was a brilliant idea. If it's implemented, I can assure you so many small businesses will benefit from it. Why? Because it allows you to grow your business. Nowadays, I think you can only carry forward your losses for 3 years. With a tax break, it means that a small business has the peace of mind to grow the business without having to worry about how do I run away from the taxman. That will encourage them to be more compliant, but it encourages them to grow. And I think, all said and done, this is our only way out of to bring Kenya to the highs that we had in 2000. It was in 2007, 2012. Yes.
Before the
the
skirmishes, then 2011 we also rose up economically, but where we are right now,
entrepreneurship is the way out.
Now we're getting towards the general election. What is your feel of the political temperatures as you come to a close from a business point of view? What is your feel?
From a business perspective, I'd say that politics and business are two things that don't mix at all. And it's something that we've already taken into account. We know next year, regardless, we pray for a very peaceful election, but the political temperatures, the higher they go, you realize the business, it's inversely...
Actually, it's an inverse correlation.
Yes.
Where politics goes up, business
goes down. So all we can ask as small businesses is, for our leaders to be cognizant of that fact, that they take us into account. Unfortunately, I don't think they'll heed that advice. So it's up to the small businesses to try and cushion yourself, or then find an industry that is aligned with politics, because even as we say, it's inversely proportional. There are other industries that actually are very directly correlated to that industry. At the end of the day, it's up to a small business to be very innovative, to try and adapt to the environment. But yeah, I'd say the political temperatures, the higher they go, the more we suffer. We get less foreign direct investments, and that trickles down eventually to the small business in the mashinani.
So basically, tunakaa rada.
By the way, kabisa. That is true.
Someone actually said that, and I know we're laughing right now, but it actually changes scope. It changes scope. It changes so much how we interact. I'm sure even we'll be having, but in the next 6-7 months, we'll hear the government or other banks giving a certain directive towards lending.
Yes.
So that usually happens every cycle of every 5 years. I think something needs to change. So take home this morning is that innovation has to be part of our lives, and we need to think outside the box, and that entrepreneurship should not just be left to those people who are seemingly not smart enough to acquire a white collar job. Other economies have done that. Look at Singapore, look at what Taiwan is doing, and even China itself. Think about a niche, or rather a gap, and run with it. We have been speaking to the CEO of Notify Logistics, Waweru Nderitu. If you've not interacted with that particular company, just think about when you order something online and that person tells you, we have a shelf somewhere you can get your product. That is exactly what Notify Logistics is about. Tech and business on matters of entrepreneurship this morning. I'm Regina Manyara. I wish you a pleasant viewing ahead. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.